Brian was on the road again, like always. The long-haul trucking life had worn him down, but tonight was different. He was finally headed home to see his wife and their newborn baby. The thought of holding his child for the first time filled him with warmth as the hum of the tires and low chatter of the radio kept him company. It was after midnight when the trees grew denser, shadows tangled in the beams of his headlights. The forest loomed on both sides of the road like a living tunnel. Suddenly, the radio crackled. What had been a late-night talk show twisted into something else. Garbled static, then faint, high-pitched sounds. At first, Brian thought it was a glitch, but the noises came back. Every 2 minutes exactly. They weren't mechanical. They sounded alive, screeches, whines, like animals crying out in pain or fear. He tried changing the station, nothing but static. As he rounded a curve, his headlights caught something up ahead. A dozen deer stood across the road motionless. Their eyes shone, but not from the reflection. There was something unnatural about them. They were pale, almost human-like, and too many. Some deer had 3, one had none at all. They stared directly at Brian. He honked. They didn't flinch. Heart pounding, he inched forward. The deer didn't move until he was nearly on top of them. Then, as if on cue, they turned in unison and vanished silently into the forest. Brian drove on, shaken. The road twisted deeper into the woods, but he no longer recognized the signs. Familiar landmarks were gone. The GPS blinked, no signal. Every few minutes, the radio repeated the same strange cries, now layered with whispers just beneath the surface. Something in the trees moved alongside his truck, pacing him. Branches scraped against the windows, though he swore he was still in the center of the road. Then he saw them. People, or what looked like people. Figures draped in moss and bark, their limbs too long, faces stretched with twisted grins. They stood between the trees, watching him, unmoving, as if waiting. He slammed on the gas. The forest never ended. No matter how far he drove, the same bends in the road reappeared, the same crooked sign, the same patch of deer tracks by the shoulder. Brian tried turning around. The road was gone, only trees. His last message to his wife, left on voicemail, was a whisper. "I'm trying to get home, but something's not letting me." No one ever heard from him again. Steve had been driving trucks for over 2 decades. Highways were home, truck stops his dining room, and the inside of his cab his bed. He'd seen all kinds of weird things on the road, flashes of animals that weren't there, shadows where they shouldn't be, but nothing ever truly rattled him. Until the night he took Route 41 through the Nevada desert. He was behind schedule, hauling a load of refrigeration units to Phoenix, trying to make up time. The desert stretched endlessly around him, and the road was a ribbon of black cutting through bone-white sand. His GPS kept glitching, blinking between maps and a blue screen. No signal, no service, just silence. Then he passed mile marker 313. His headlights briefly illuminated a woman standing at the edge of the road. She was barefoot, pale, and wearing a tattered hospital gown. Her hair was stringy, matted, and hung over her face. Steve hit the brakes hard, tires screeching. He looked in his side mirror, but she was gone. "Hell no," he muttered, heart racing. He grabbed his flashlight and stepped out into the dry night air. The desert was dead silent. He swept the light across the shoulder. Nothing, no footprints, no signs of life. He got back in the cab, double-checked the locks, and kept driving. That's when the radio crackled, just static at first. Then a voice. "You saw me." Steve nearly swerved off the road. He yanked the power cord out of the CB radio. It was still on. "Don't leave me again." The screen blinked. A GPS map appeared. It had rerouted him. The road highlighted in red twisted around itself, always leading back to mile marker 313. Then he passed it again, and again. Each time she was closer to the road. He stopped looking. After hours of trying different turns, Steve gave in. He pulled off, shut down the engine, and tried to sleep. Maybe the morning would bring a clearer head and a working GPS. He woke up cold. The cab door was open, and she was in the passenger seat, her head tilted at an unnatural angle, eyes wide and milky. "Take me home," she whispered. Steve screamed, tried to throw open the door, but he couldn't move. His arms wouldn't respond. His legs were frozen in place. The engine roared to life on its own. The truck turned around and started driving. Now, every so often, a trucker will call into late-night radio about a semi driving itself along Route 41. They say it passes the same mile marker over and over again. And if you look closely through the windshield, you can see the driver. Eyes wide, mouth open in a scream, and a pale woman beside him, whispering directions he can never escape. Justin was cruising down the highway in his rig, the steady hum of the engine beneath him. It was just another long haul until he realized where he was. This was the road. 3 years ago, Kristine had vanished here. Her face had been plastered across newspapers, TV screens, and social media feeds. Everyone knew the story. A young woman hitchhiking, last seen smiling into a dashboard camera, then gone without a trace. Justin remembered thinking how reckless it was, taking a ride from a stranger these days. Who wants a lift from someone they did not know? "Crazy," he muttered aloud. The thought barely left his mouth when he saw something up ahead. A shape, a figure, floating. At first he thought it was a trick of the headlights or fatigue messing with his vision. But no, there she was, Kristine, or something like her, hovering a foot above the pavement, her long hair matted with dirt, her eyes wide and glassy. She looked at him, through him, and then she was gone. By the time he got home, his hands were still shaking. He told everyone, his brother, his neighbor, even the cashier at the truck stop. But no one believed him. They laughed, or worse, they pitied him. But it didn't end there. Every time he took that route, she was there. Sometimes closer, sometimes farther. Always watching, always hovering. He tried rerouting deliveries, even asked dispatch for different highways. It didn't help. She started showing up in his rearview mirror, even when he wasn't on that road. He never understood why.